Yes, welcome again today. So, what you can see on your screen is what we're going to be looking at today: how to draw and shade like a pro. I'll be giving you the tips how I make mine and how you can also achieve this when you try things out. So, let's get to work. So, here's a portrait of a young lady I'm making. Yes, I didn't initially plan to make a video of this, but based on request I decided to make videos based on the ones I had before I posted the results. So before we go on, please do well to subscribe to this channel and also invite your friends and other artists to subscribe to Shade Right, because we are here to learn together and to grow. So let's go into the explanation of the drawing. As you can see that I'm shading presently, making use of layers, and in this drawing basically I made use of the graphite pencils of different grades and my soft mouthed brush, which I just finished using to blend that part. Now the main part is this, where we're going. I will spend quite a number of time explaining some tips at this point. Now if you notice this particular area that I'm shading on the neck, you'll notice that there is already a first layer. If you look at it very well, the part I'm shading is the second layer that I'm placing on it. Now look at it very well, you'll find out how smooth and how light the first layer is. This is one of the tips that you should understand, that when you want to achieve smoothness without using powder, either charcoal powder or graphite powder, and you don't want to also blend with pressure and spoil the surface of your paper, then your first layer must be very good. Shade lightly and blend with whatever tool you have, like your brush. But in my case here, for the first layer, usually most of my drawings, my first layer I blend with the tissue paper. I shade very lightly. Maybe I will show you a video on how I shade my first layer. I might post that very soon on the channel also. So after that I blend with my tissue paper, and after blending with the tissue paper I come again with the second layer, which is what I'm doing presently. And you find out, even though with this second layer, what you do is you don't add pressure. If you have seen any of my earlier videos on this channel, I always emphasize that you don't need to add pressure, whether when you are shading or when you are blending. If you shade it right, blending will be very easy for you and you will achieve a very smooth texture. You will achieve a very good result. So I zoomed in now for you to see properly, to be able to see very well what it looks like. So just let's continue together. This is the 2B pencil that I'm using for. Now you will notice I'm adding another layer gradually to that part, but now proceeding to this particular point, now that's the second layer on that part. So what I do most times is I shade in beats. Well, I've met an artist, I think a she, that said what she does is to shade grid by grid, since she uses the grid system also. But the way I do mine is I take a particular portion and work on it, finish the exact tone in that area for the reference picture, and then move to the other side. That's the way I kind of do my own work. You can do whatever works for you also, but just ensure that you are getting it right. That is what matters. Shade lightly. And one of the advantages of shading in layers, I've mentioned one earlier, that it gives you a smooth texture and you don't have to put pressure on blending. Another thing is, in case you make a mistake, if you have shaded well and you didn't blend with pressure, you find out that it's very easy for you to clean, to erase your mistakes, or even when you want to add details. If you look at the forehead of this lady, you find out, yes, it may not be too obvious because the details are a little bit subtle in this case, since I'm not really so much concerned about adding details for hyperrealism or something. So the details are very subtle, so small, but on the highlight on the forehead there are some very tiny details, and it was very easy to create with my mono zero eraser because there was no pressure while I was blending or shading the part, so it makes you able to bring out your details very easily once you follow the principles of layering. That's another advantage of layering. And the mechanism, so I'll call it, by which layering works is the first layer you blend, you already have a smooth foundation for your work, and the second layer you blend. If you have not achieved the tone, you still go the third layer you blend without pressure. You'll find out that the more you add up layers and blend, you find out that it becomes interesting. If you have seen one of my videos, I started by saying shading is frustrating when you don't get it right, but once you get it, it's very sweet, especially when you make use of layers. You just don't go dark on a portion because, oh, this part is dark, and you just feel, let me just go dark at once. No, you shade in layers, build up tones. Even artists that make use of powder and you see how smooth their works are, they also go in layers. Now, if you're here and then all you want is pencils, just like myself, not so much of a powder artist like that, so I always want to use my pencils. So what I do is to shade in layers. It works well, and you find it very interesting when you practice. Two, don't make a mistake of seeing videos and then just relaxing. I'll try that later. One of the things that helped me was a day I saw a particular video. I decided to practice it immediately, and that is where I got my own technique from. Not like I used the person's technique, but at least the person blends medially with tissue paper even beyond the first layer. But when I tried it, I found out that it works for me just making use of it on my first layer, and I stuck with that, and it has been working for me. And it might also work for you if you try it out, but as I've said earlier, try out what works for you. This is just to help you basically to understand what you need to do. So enjoy the rest of the video without my voice.